Hey folks, see Rachana Ranade here. Today's video is extremely important because today's video is about the ongoing war situation. Of course, I'm not an expert in geopolitics, but as always, I try to deliver whatever I have learned by reading a lot of news articles, by watching a lot of videos. So today's video is going to cover four primary aspects. Number one, we are going to start today's video with why did this war start? This will have a bit of geopolitical angle, but very important. I'm going to cover this from a finance angle as well, right? The second one will talk about what could be the impact of this war on stock market, on our economy, on our currency, and also on different commodities, primarily gold and silver. Third point, we'll understand about what is the sectoral impact and impact on specific stocks, and very important, what are the key levels of Nifty to watch out for. Video is very important, so keep on watching the video till the end. What if I told you that one weekend could make you noticeably smarter at work? This weekend, Outskill is hosting a free 2-day AI training that shows how AI is actually used in the real world. It's a live 16 hours program happening this Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And though it's valued at 10,000, you will get it absolutely free because you are a part of our community. In this 16-hour live interactive training session, you will learn things like prompt engineering, no code data analysis, and a lot more. Plus, you will learn how to build your own personal AI toolkit using 10 plus cutting edge tools that are transforming industries, automate repetitive tasks, and analyze data without writing any code, develop AI agents and tools that give you a strong competitive edge. Over 1 lakh professionals from 40 plus countries, including those in tech, sales, marketing, HR, and business, have already joined this workshop. I'm getting my entire team to attend this, and you should too. Seats are filling fast. Use the link in the description to book your spot. Join the WhatsApp group for updates, and don't miss the 10 a.m. live session this Saturday. Now let's try and understand why did this war even start. I'm sure you might have read this in the news that the current operation is titled as Epic Fury. Okay. And the previous operation that they had launched against Iran, that was called as Operation Midnight Hammer. Now, what had happened, if you remember, back in June 2025, US said that Iran is building its nuclear capacity and they wanted to destroy that. That is why the last year's attack was launched. It was said that they have successfully destroyed all those things in Iran. But again, reports started to flow in that they are trying to rebuild these capacities, and US wanted to ensure that Iran never has a nuclear weapon again, and that is the reason why US relaunched attacks against Iran. Okay, that is what you will see in on Google or whatever whenever you try and search why did this war start. Now let's try and go beyond this and see whether there is any financial impact, whether there is a financial sense to through a different angle or not. Now, when I was trying to understand about who has how much crude oil reserves and who trades with US's best friend, China. Okay. Uh, I understood that there are two major countries. One is Venezuela. You know what happened with Venezuela? Because for Venezuela, whatever exports they did, 80% of their exports went to China. Okay. And you know what happened with Venezuela. Number two, I tried to understand how about Iran. Iran also sells a major chunk of their exports to China, and you know what is happening in Iran right now. Now let's try and understand whether there is another country. There is third country which exports a lot to China is Russia. But of course, US is not going to take a panga with Russia. Their targets, soft targets comparatively, could easily be Iran and Venezuela. And you know what is the biggest common point here? The common point is that be it Iran, be it Venezuela, or be it Russia, none of them trade in dollars. Whenever they are trading with China for crude oil, they trade the yuan. Okay, they trade in yuan. So would US like this? Obviously not. But how much reserves do they actually have? For that, I just try to search over the internet, and you will see here highest proven reserves. Venezuela, you can see that is number 1. Number 2 is Saudi Arabia. Number 3 is Iran. And you can very clearly see why Venezuela and Iran could have been the targets. Two, first reason, they have huge crude reserves, and number 2, both are trading in Chinese yuan. Now you might be like, why not Saudi Arabia? Why not Saudi Arabia as a target? Reason is simple. Whatever trade Saudi Arabia does with crude oil, that is done in US dollars. So they would not want to harm Saudi Arabia. There's one more interesting thing that we can see: which country manufactures, I'm sorry, which country produces highest oil. Highest is USA. Okay, so for oil reserves, highest is, sorry, for reserves, highest is Venezuela. But if I'm talking about production is USA. And see this number, USA is left with only 15 years of reserve. So it absolutely makes sense to USA to ensure that they have those countries under their control who have a lot of crude oil reserves. And that is my understanding of why things could have happened the way it happened in Venezuela and now in Iran. Again, let me give you one more time the same clarification. I am not an expert in geopolitics, but this is my attempt. Whatever I'm reading, whatever I am understanding, I'm trying to put it forth in front of you. With this, now, if this is very clear in the mind, in the next section, we'll try and understand what could this bring as an impact on the economy, on commodities, on currencies, on our markets as well. Now, first things first, obviously, the impact has to be on an important commodity, which is oil. Now, what could be the reason for that? Everyone knows about the importance of Strait of Hormuz, and whatever oil across the globe is traded, 20 to 30% of that passes through the Strait of Hormuz. And whenever there are any tensions in the Middle East, there is a choke point in this entire area, right? So, what happens with this? Does the supply chain get disrupted? Answer is yes. Supply goes down, demand is more or less similar, or maybe even shoots up. In this case, what happens is that prices of crude oil are going to go up, right? Question is, for India, will this impact a lot? Answer is obviously yes. Why? Because India imports almost 85 to 90% of its crude oil requirement. So whatever inflation impact it will have globally, India typically has a higher inflation impact because a lot of crude oil, as I mentioned, 85 to 90% is imported. But did we really see an uptick in crude oil prices? Answer is yes. For us, we should be checking UK oil. And if you see here, from Friday to Monday, if you see here, in 2 days, crude oil has shot up by almost 15.22%. That's a big one. Of course, today you can see that it is cooling off a little bit, but still, even today, if you check, it's still up by almost 7.5%. Right now, with this, what happens? If there is going to be more and more inflation, if there is going to be more and more uncertainty because of war related situations, would FIIs want to pump in more money into the domestic market? Answer is obviously no. So FIIs would want to pull out money from the market. Will it have a negative impact on our market? Answer is yes. And that is the reason why you will see that overall Nifty, even though you can see a green candle right now as I shoot the video, market is down right now by almost 307 points. And I think today's low was almost 500 points down from previous close, right? So will it have a negative impact on Nifty? Answer is yes. FIs are going to pull out money, and whenever there are uncertain situations, people prefer to park their money in safe havens. What could these safe havens be? Obviously, it could be gold and silver. And in this case, you will see that gold is up today itself by almost 4%, and silver is up by again 4.8%. This is the futures that I'm talking about, traded on M6. One more safe haven which is considered is the US dollar itself, and that is the reason why you can also see US dollar strengthening by roughly 0.5%, right? So just to sum up one more time, what happens now is Brent crude prices up. Will this increase the inflation? So you can see here global inflation also up. Of course, for India, again, it will be an inflation increase mainly because of the crude oil point. Then we also mentioned about one point: all of these uncertainties are going to have a negative impact on what? Of course, global equities also negative impact, and even Indian equity markets also negative impact. What will happen with the Indian rupee? Will weaken. FIs will pull out money. Where are they going to park that money? Ideally in safe assets, safe havens like gold, silver. So it will have a positive impact. Also, one more safe haven could be potentially the US currency, where again it will have a positive impact. I've gone in my teaching zone, and now let me ask my team members whether they are able to visualize what could be the impact of increase in crude oil on different sectors. Okay, Rishi, ready? He's like, please don't ask me. He said, I'm focusing on the camera. Don't ask me any stock market related questions. Okay, Rishi, it's okay even if you don't answer. Today, Siddharth and Sharva are going to answer. Okay, ready?
Yes. Yes.
Zorat?
Yes.
Yes, okay. What do you think? What will be the impact on aviation? Positive impact or negative impact?
Negative. Negative.
Negative? Yes? Okay. They're shying a little bit and they're saying negative. Anyways, you're not going to be seen on screen. It's okay. So impact is going to be negative. Reason very simple, because if the crude oil prices rises, for them it's a very big hit on their P&L, and that is the reason why if profits go down, then it's going to be it will have a negative impact on their stock prices. What about oil? Acha, let me give you an example also. No, by the way, Indigo today fell by almost 5%. So we can very clearly see the impact of increase in crude oil on aviation companies like Interglobe Aviation, which is Indigo. What about oil marketing companies? Positive or negative impact? Negative. अरे लाजो नको जोरात ओरड की हाँ negative. Okay. Examples of OMCs? Any examples? HPCL, BPCL. Okay, so BPCL, HPCL both will have a negative impact. These stocks went down by almost 3% today. And again, reason is very simple. The moment crude oil prices go up, it's as good as raw material prices go up for them, and it will have a negative impact. Now, let me club up three sectors: paint, tires, chemicals. Again, for all these three sectors, what is one important point is crude oil is one of their key raw materials, and if crude oil prices are going to increase, what impact will it have on these sectors? Negative impact. All right. And so many stocks across these sectors again are down by almost 2 to 3% today, but some sectors are smiling. Which one of them is one of them, which is oil producers? I gave your answer. It is going to have a positive impact. And examples of oil producing companies could be what? ONGC? Yes. Could it something be like Oil India as well? Yes. And these stocks are shining today because obviously for them, their final product or the finished product is going to be sold at a higher price. One sector which you should be having, no, let me rephrase. One sector which you should be having, okay, maybe in your watch list, whether to actually add it up in your portfolio or not is your personal choice. But obviously, I feel that this is a sector which will stay in the limelight. More uncertainty is equal to even our country would want to ensure that defense is up to the mark. The spending ideally will be higher in this entire sector. So be sure that whatever allocation you have made in your portfolio, just see for yourself. If you feel the logic is there, then you may consider defense in your portfolio as well. So I hope impact on stocks sectors all is clear. In the last section, we'll talk about key levels to watch. Watching out for key levels now. Unfortunately, today 200 DEMA has been broken. So that's a bad point. I mean, yesterday only, or that is on Friday, on closing basis, 200 DEMA was broken. There were signs that the market could react negatively on Monday, and that is what happened. Because if you see from Friday's close to today's low, if you see, the markets were down by almost 600 points. That's a big one, right? But the recovery has been good enough. What I would want to really see is that number one, when is this gap filled, which has been created right now? So from this low, what I would watch out is this level of 25,150, 200, whatever. And even if you see 200 DEMA is at 25,250. So market closing about above 25,150 to 25,250 as early as possible will be extremely important for the market, because if markets don't move higher than these levels, markets may start facing stiff resistances at these levels. But what about key support? And you can see here market beautifully supported this level, the previous low that we had seen here, the low of 24,571. If you are watching my Thursday live streams, I'm sure you might have seen me talk about this level as well on the previous Thursday, and this was honored. Just above that, the market actually took a support and started moving upwards. So on a lower side, level to watch out is 24,500, 24,600, and ideally we should try and close about 25,150, 25,250 as early as possible. I hope you enjoyed today's short and sweet video. If you did, please don't forget to smash the like button. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you still haven't. And also don't forget to share this video with your friends. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care. Jai Hind and bye-bye. You might have come across such advertisements on various social media platforms. Please note, all of these are fraudsters promising unbelievable returns through stock tips. I don't provide any calls or advisory services. I provide only educational content through my social media handles and through my website rachanaranade.com and rachanaranade.in.